And we are live on the SideQuest, your weekly journey into the wonderful world of video games, video game culture, and the stuff related to it. SideQuesting.com. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, tell your mom, share, drink that grape Dr. Pepper.
Blackberry, Dr.
Blackberry.
Blackberry, nice.
I have a fridge full of that shit too, man. It's good.
Oh, baby. Oh,
and
baby.
I've got Liquid Death Dr. Pepper flavor, basically.
Oh,
it actually tastes like
Liquid
Dr.
Death
Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
It's oh, they call it Dr. Death, but
yeah, okay.
Dr. Perky.
It tastes more like Dr. Pepper than I expected it. So good job, I guess.
Good job, you did it.
They stole all 23 of the special ingredients. It's crazy.
I love the story about their Arnold Palmer flavor.
Okay.
It's the funniest thing. They called it Armless Palmer, but then they got sued by the Arnold Palmer estate, so then they rebranded it to Dead Billionaire.
Oh, that's right.
I gotta remember this.
I thought they got sued by Armless Octopus. Former
yeah,
SideQuest
Taylor himself was the spearhead of that.
Good times. Well, yes, we are late. I'm sorry. We were just prepping the
Technically,
content.
Gally was prepping. I was on
true.
time and punctual.
There you go. There. No, we were just waiting for that.
I was 2 minutes late because I was watching Love is Blind episode 6. Sorry,
dude. We're watching that now too of the newest season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're gonna have to do a Love is Blind cast because my wife.
I love that show. I love that show.
We're through 3 episodes now, so I like how they're doing 6 episodes and then 3, and then the final one. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to do a recap every week. I like this. All right, good. It's just so silly.
It's slop, but it's so
really
good. It's so good.
They're supposedly filming in Detroit now. So the next season might be a Detroit one. So that was the supposed one because they had the advertisements or the notes going out locally to be on Love is Blind. So I was telling some of my friends, I'm like, hey, I want to see some of y'all on there. Hey, I'm Dolly Domofsky. Joining me, the one, the only, drinking that Blackberry is Zach of the Quest, the blacksmith apprentice. He'll tell us about it. This is JJ drinking the Dr. Death. And I have a coffee in my Detroit Lions mug. And I'm wearing a red hat because red hats are very cool these days, apparently.
Yeah, everyone loves
I cannot wear, it's impossible for me to wear a red hat anymore. I support my Detroit Red Wings.
My favorite hat is a bright red hat with white writing that says that's Optimus Prime.
Oh.
And I simply cannot wear it anymore. Because from across the street, nobody knows that it's not me wearing an Optimus Prime. Yeah.
Like, my friend has one of my friends has a Cincinnati Reds hat, and it's I think the brand is like 47. It's a big 47 on the side. So as he's walking down the street, it's like all you see is red hat, 47 on the side, and everyone's just like, yeah. He's like, no, Cincinnati Reds.
And from a distance, a 7 and a 5 can look similar. So you might have number 45.
It's the both. You can get both of them at this point, I guess. 45, 47. Anyway, enough of that. SideQuesting.com. Please go to the website and hop into our Discord. Lots of lovely people in there. And you can also become a patron over at our Patreon. Really want to thank our executives, Tom Johnson and Punk Defied, two lovely people who are executive level patrons for us. And they get a bunch of extra little swag. I sent one of a kind Christmas cards to each. And our producers are Stefan Swanland, Zero the Prototype, Exagenous, I said it right this time, and Jeff Grubb. Thank you to the producers. And you can also be joining us in a special portion of the Discord dedicated just to the patrons because we have some cool stuff in there. I just posted a what's it called? A poll to help me decide what non-RPG to play next. I'm actually playing an RPG. I'm playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I want to get through this or enough of this before X comes out. But I have a list of games in there. There's 10 votes right now. My games are like Sonic Frontier, No More Heroes 3, Half-Life, Dead Space, blah, blah, blah. And it's interesting to see what is leading. It is
not really.
No, it's not.
It's not
I'm
interesting
surprised.
at all.
I'm surprised, to be honest.
You're surprised that people want you to play Half-Life, one of the most influential video games of all time.
Yeah, people want you to play Half-Life and Metal Gear Solid, two of like the best games ever made. That's crazy.
And Control, like the folks.
Control's really good.
Folks on Blue Sky, non-gift giver. That's right. Yeah, folks on Blue Sky were telling me to play Control, so I'm like, all right, so it's gonna be down to one of those three. So we'll see how the next day or two. You two can, if you're a patron, by the way. You can hop in there. I've played all three of these. Okay, I'm just trying to say which one I want to finish. So
I don't ever play the version of Sonic Frontiers that you have. You have to get a non-Switch version of Sonic Frontiers.
The problem is, like I said before, I buy these games on the cheap when they're on Black Friday, and it was like $12.99 for the Switch, and I'm like, you got me.
Regardless that you threw $13 in the garbage, don't play that version of Sonic Frontiers. You're not going to have a good time with that version.
And when I come back and say this game sucks balls, I will know why. Anywho, stuff that doesn't suck balls is video games. Well, they can kind of suck balls, depending on how. And maybe we'll talk about games that suck balls today. I don't know. We're going to talk about games for sure. I did want to touch on a couple quick little news bites, though. So this happened last week. We didn't get a chance to chat about it because we podcast on Sunday or Monday. But Sony had a PlayStation event last week, and they
completely forgot that even happened.
And they revealed a few games. Don't worry, a lot of people already did.
I think even you forgot because when you started the show, you're like, "There's nothing to really talk about."
Yeah, I was like, "Ain't nothing to talk about." But there actually are a couple things to talk about that came out of that, and a couple things that I like. One is that, hey guys, there's a new Shinobi game coming out. Yeah, Art of Vengeance. So it's by the folks that did Streets of Rage 4. It looks cool. I like that it means 2D style. It is Shinobi. It's just kind of going back to that classic Shinobi, and I'm pretty stoked about it. This was genuinely a surprise. I wasn't expecting this to show up. Yeah, there you go. And Dice. Nothing we're forgetting there. No, Dice had actually a pretty cool award ceremony. How's it going, by the way? Punctified. I'm excited for this. I love classically inspired. I like return to form classic games. Obviously with Ninja Gaiden.
The Shinobi games are my favorite Genesis games, man.
Yeah,
I love like Revenge of Shinobi.
Yep.
And Shinobi 3 and stuff. Like, I hope you can fight Spider-Man in it.
Oh God, you know what? You probably can this time. Like legally, you could probably fight Spider-Man and Godzilla and all those. But the Shinobi games were the ones that. So I was a Super Nintendo kid, and our best friend had a Genesis, so we would go to their house and they would rent Shinobi, and I'd just be like, that was the one game. Like Sonic aside, like Shinobi was the game where I was like, man, this is way better than Ninja Gaiden. Like Shinobi's pretty badass, man. Look,
Shinobi to me is definitely like the side-scrolling Shinobis are so much better than the side-scrolling
for real. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And I'm
also. Do you guys
want
to feel old? I got a story. So when I was renting games, the PlayStation 1 was out, right? And my older brother and I rented Metal Gear Solid 1.
Yeah.
And there's a point in the game where the colonel's like, hey, you need to call Meryl. Her codec number is on the back of the box.
Oh, no.
So my brother and I are like, Mom, we got to go back to the store. So we went back to the store, looked at it, wrote it down, got back in the car, went home, and then we could, keep playing. So
I'm actually glad you brought that up because Metal Gear Solid Delta actually has a release date now. So that was actually revealed as well. Check that out. That release date is August. It kind of leaked.
Yeah. We knew going in what it was.
Yeah, we knew going in. Now there's obviously a bunch of rumors. So right now it's Xbox, PS, PlayStation, and PC. And there's the rumors, obviously, of the of this going to Switch 2, which could potentially happen. But
further proof that we really just don't know what the Switch 2 can do.
We don't know what it can do. We don't know what it can do. I mean, this has been quote unquote leaked by the people who are leaking it, who are leaking all the Switch stuff. They're saying, yeah, this is coming out for this, and everything's been true so far. But anyways, this game is looking better and better every time.
I just wish it had a filter.
Yeah. Hey, it might. We don't know. It might. Yeah. I mean, there's still a few months that they're going to be showing this thing off.
It's looking more like a Twin Snake situation, which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
Like it's a clearly different take, but it's still weird. So I'm like, okay, they've retained the soul.
It's Twin Snakes was a super fun game because it was doing their version of Kojima, not copying Kojima, which
you can't do.
So. Yeah, it definitely looks like they're just like, we're gonna make it zany, but in a different way because we can't copy Kojima.
Right, right.
This game's Metal Gear Solid 3 is so fucking good.
So I did ask again. I asked which of these games. I started Metal Gear Solid 1. Is that the correct one to start with, or should I start with go through them in order? Okay.
Yeah, because it's one of those games where it's like, the story might be like out of order essentially, but it builds on information that from the past games in really interesting ways. So the story doesn't feel like you're behind or anything. But the big thing really is the gameplay is what evolves most. So like you play the first game, you get used to it. Play the second game, you're like, oh my god, they fixed it. And then you play the third game, you're like, oh my god, they fixed it again. And then you play the fourth game, you're like, oh my god, they did it again. So it's like it's more like a gameplay sequel versus like a story kind of thing.
Okay. Because it's sort of hop back and forth in certain time periods and all that kind of stuff. Got it. Yeah. I had actually had the 3DS version. I may still have that sitting around somewhere.
3DS version is notable because it is the only version of Metal Gear Solid 3 where you can crouch walk.
Yep. Another thing that came out of the state of play was Digimon Story, baby.
Oh yeah, this looks cool.
This looks cool. I haven't played a Digimon game since I was in I don't know what, middle high school at this point, maybe.
Right? Yeah.
I don't know. They've always got these weird ones that always look interesting to me, like Cyber Sleuth or whatever the hell that franchise is. I've never played any of them, but I've always been like, maybe I'll play it. It looks like I would enjoy it.
Yeah, no,
I liked the cartoon when I was a young guy, and Summer Wars, which is also just a remake of Digimon.
It's Digimon movie. Yeah. No, I'm a big Digimon fan. I really love this franchise a lot. So, because I really like how it's Pokemon is legitimately just for kids, but it's also for adults, right? But Digimon in the westernized version, it got really sanitized in weird ways. So what's fun about Digimon now, after kind of we're past that era where they were sanitizing children's show, now the Digimon whole thing is kind of if you actually invest in it, you're like, oh, this is kind of dark, and they kind of explore interesting things about society and digital worlds and stuff, and I think that's what makes it interesting to me. But yeah, I just these games from this team who did the Cyber Sleuth games, they're awesome. They're really just weird and kind of funky and definitely worth checking out, and they're always on sale for $20. So
nice.
So I am always on the verge of playing Cyber Sleuth because it's always $15, and I'm like,
it's like a Shin Megami Tensei dungeon crawler Pokemon animal raising game. It's weird.
Another game that was at the event was speaking of crazy, is Dreams of Another. This is Q Games' next project, and this looked cool. I love the aesthetic of this. The whole purpose of this. This is by, I think the director's name is an artist director, right? Bayon. I forget how to pronounce it. But he's kind of done a lot of the work on Q Games, the art director, and he's the director behind this game. And it's just And it just looks cool. The whole idea is just you're kind of in a dreamscape, and you have a gun and you can shoot, but you're shooting to create stuff and not to get rid of stuff. And it's just there you go, shoot, but you're shooting and you make
it's really cool.
Yeah, I'm count me in, man. This is bazooka to blow stuff up. But you can see it's like creating stuff as it's going along. I'm digging it. And again, it's these kinds of games, esoteric. These kinds of games are the ones. These experiences are the ones that stick with me for like completely different reasons than the quote unquote fun stuff. Like I think Gris from a few years ago was fantastic. That kind of art style, and then you have Neva was their next one, but this just looks really cool.
It's cool to see Pixel Junk still just like out there doing art stuff. Like,
awesome. Good for them.
No, this like the vibe I get from this, it's gonna sound like I'm being mean, but it's like that Michael Jackson clip where he's like turning the gun down.
Oh
yeah.
That's like all I could think about. But I mean, it just looks. I mean, besides that, it looks so cool.
Sure. So there's a few other things that came out of the PlayStation 1. We won't go into that, but
which one had the trailer for Directive 8020? That one.
It was the PlayStation one. Yeah. That looked pretty cool. Yeah, you're definitely into. Yeah,
I'm a Supermassive guy. It's like Until Dawn. The Dark Picture anthology stuff is just. I love that short little. Weird sci-fi point and click adventures for the most part. Just
my reaction watching that trailer was like, okay, cool, I love sci-fi stuff when they're trapped on a ship and stuff happens. So I was in from the start, and then they started showing way too much, and I was it's just one of these.
It's another Dark Pictures game. I mean,
it's like, oh, it's it's an Event Horizon. Okay, that's just kind of what they should have not shown half of that trailer.
Yep.
But they're all like $30 and like it's like 2.5 hours, and you get like a fun interactive video game tale out of it with weird actors in it that just like, what are you doing here? How'd they get you to do this?
Rami Malek, what are you doing here?
So again, there are a lot of games there. We were expecting some Xbox games to show up, which I was surprised there wasn't any. And then I think what was even more of not a surprise, but even more fuel to that fire was just like the last day or so. Philip Spencer came out and said, "I'm not trying to move people to Xbox anymore. I'm trying to move Xbox to everything else. That's the release strategy." Philip Spencer.
This company is baffling now. I don't.
This comes courtesy of Video Games Chronicle and out of the Xbox Era podcast. So they asked him, because he did the FTC hearing back in 2023, right, when they were buying Activision, all that kind of stuff, and now they're releasing all those games now, because it started with Call of Duty, but now that they're releasing all these games all over the place, he was sort of asked to go over a little bit deeper, and he's like, we're no longer trying to get people onto Xbox hardware anymore. It's like the console war is over, right? He kind of said that a while back. The console war is over, and you can look at that. The hardware for Xbox is, it's basically dead in competition with PlayStation and Nintendo. So
I mean, when you're getting a 70% cut, you're kind of doing okay,
exactly. Now, what's interesting also, I mean, what's the push, and we've been kind of talking about this a little bit back, over the last few years, is that the push to, and maybe JJ, I think you were the one that kind of said it last week or the week before, was basically saying, they're turning Xbox into Microsoft gaming, and it's true. It'll be, you're going to have Xbox on everything, just like you have Windows on everything and Office on like non-Xbox, non-Microsoft hardware, but then you will still have the Surface, right? You'll still have the tablet and their product, which is like, hey, you're going to have those hardcore folks. It's a niche market.
we're gonna have some. Yeah. We're gonna put out some very expensive hardware for you enthusiasts out there that just want to run.
But, run it the smoothest, I guess. Yeah. But
not even then, dude.
Not even then. No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. I'm actually starting to get more and more convinced that Game Pass is not the. What's the point of Game Pass if you could just sell the same game for $70 on the PlayStation 5 and they'll just sell the games? I think Game Pass is going to dwindle away at this point.
I kind of think so too. By the way, why am I getting all this like propaganda advertising? Why was Russia in Syria in the first place? This is like the far left version of bad advertising.
Great, that guy's gonna interesting. That guy's gonna subscribe and unsubscribe again.
God bless him. But yeah, so I think this is the admission. Again, it's the smart move. It's Xbox is. It's not necessary. I don't want to call them multi-platform in the way that Sega is multi-plat or other companies are, but
it's only the smart move because they can't sell hardware.
Yeah, they've come to that realization. It's like we'll still have hardware on the side. We'll put out a portable handheld device that's just for like Xbox and a couple other things, but get the Xbox game where you want to get it.
They're Sega. They're turning into full-blown Sega at this point. Like,
Sega has the perfect opportunity to just do the funniest thing ever and release their own console.
Their own console. But Sega has the IP that everybody likes. Sega has Sonic. Like
Sega has Yakuza.
Yeah, that's actually like they somehow spun like Sonic the Hedgehog is great, but have you seen Like a Dragon? Like that is saving Sega.
Right. And then last but not least, just a little bit of sad news, and that is that not a little bit. It's tragic news. Victor Antonov passed away recently. He's legendary and so influential.
There's no Half-Life without Victor.
There is none.
There's a lot of video games.
The trajectory of the stuff he's worked on has not even just stuff he's directly worked on. Like his teams and the people he's worked with and the influence that he it's unimaginable, the stuff that he's done that's kind of, made its way around the games industry. So it really is sad. He's young, again, younger person. I mentioned in the Discord, I think we've been talking about it, like we hate when younger people die. It doesn't matter what age, not to say that like get rid of the older folks or anything like that, but it's when you're kind of in the prime and as influential as you are and as great that he's that he was, it really is a tragedy, and heart goes out to his family first and foremost, but it's a big loss for the games industry, so pour one out for Victor. So that's the news. We were able to plow through that 20 minutes, so that's perfect. I want to get into games that we've been playing, and we've been playing a lot of games. We're catching up on all these reviews right now, which is totally cool. And we have a lot of. It's interesting because it's typically a slower time of year because it's right after the holidays. Like for
usually,
yeah, but not this year. I think a lot of folks are just like shotgun blasting their games out there, and not just like small games, big games. They're ports. They're doing all kinds of stuff that they're bringing over because they do want to get into this late cycle. It's late cycle right now. We're in the back half of the PS5, Xbox Series consoles, right? And we're definitely in the back half of the Steam Deck. There's going to be a Steam Deck 2 or an update coming out in the next couple of years. We're going to have the Switch 2 in a few months here. So people are getting these games out. This is the stuff these projects started after. The majority of these projects started after COVID, after all that stuff. You're looking at
we're finally clearing out the COVID backlog.
Yeah, finally. Exactly. So it's a lot of games that we got. And we got a good breadth of games. And so who wants to go first? Okay, Zach. All right, Zach will go first. So Zach, you've been playing some pretty eclectic games. Eclectic games.
Let's talk about the 2 review games so I can get them out the way. Ender Magnolia. Let's do that one first.
Okay.
Ender Magnolia Bloom in the Mist is a sequel to a game called Ender Lilies, which is a like it's a Japanese kind of independent team. I don't know if it's a solo dev or not, or maybe just like 2 or 3 people, but it's definitely a smaller team. And it's a Metroidvania game. That's just kind of a good way to describe it. But it's really awesome because the music is good, the art is good, the story is good, and the moment-to-moment gameplay is really good. And I find that a lot of like Metroidvanias are lacking in one of those departments. Like it's really good art, the music's good, but the story is whatever, and the gameplay is awesome, right? This game and its previous game are, I think, excel really well in every department. But what makes it interesting is this is also a direct sequel to the first game. So in the first game, you're kind of exploring this abandoned city, and there's like, and you're a little girl, and you need protection from bad guys from these things called homunculus. So you're kind of like a magician, alchemist person who can use these homunculus as at your will. So that's kind of like your combat arsenal, is like you are able to like attract these things and then summon them to help. And then in this game, it's more so a deeper examination into kind of the society, and you're more so in the dredges of it instead of being in like kind of like the higher echelon that you were in the past game. And in this game, it really explores the homunculus and their past, and they're the people that they were before. So you're kind of going around and going through places and like talking to people in these like slums and learning about, oh, there's this like Falcon guy who protects the children here. Like, let me go see what this is about. You meet him and get to learn about his backstory, but you have to beat them in a boss fight. And it kind of has not super Souls like combat, but it's very methodical to where it's like you have to dodge and you have to parry, but it's not like hard like a Souls game. And then so what's interesting to me, at least with the homunculus, is the way you unlock them is you fight them, but then you get their abilities to kind of traverse the map and kind of go around. It's more of a streamlined process of a Metroidvania where you unlock your skills. So instead of it being like kind of like, oh, I'm stuck here, how do I do this? Oh, I have to backtrack to here. The game kind of uses its story to funnel you to these upgrades, and eventually, so you can equip 4 powers at a time for homunculus, and you can kind of mix and match which ones you have at a time because you get more. One of them, like the crow guy, he shoots, and then the main character, I forget her name, she's like a sword lady. She's like your sword attack, and then you get a bigger guy with like a fist who can like uppercut things, and then you get one that has the ability to let you double jump, and like, so you're kind of like, you can mix and match, like, okay, I want the sword person so I can use my fist person to knock them up and like kind of pin them, and then I can use the gun guy to like shoot them while they're on the ground or whatever. So you can kind of think about the combat in however way you want to, and it's really fun, interesting, and engaging. The story is really good, and the music's awesome. It's very like near reminisce kind of. It's so awesome. I highly recommend this one. It's like $25, $30. It's definitely a good bang for your buckaroo.
I love this art style, like what I mean by that is not just like this beautiful like hand drawn and layering, but what it seems to be doing for the gameplay. Like it looks like it works together. Like you need this art style for this game.
Yeah. No, it's one of those, like I was saying before, like the 4 pillars, like gameplay, story, art, whatever. Like it excels in all of them. It's just high quality across the board. So, and I'm pretty sure it's done pretty well. The reviews on Steam seem to be good. It's has like almost 9,000 reviews. So that usually means it's sold at least 10 times that. So you can kind of, so it's doing good. And the first game, and it's also on every platform ever. So yeah, but it's definitely worth checking out. Awesome on the Steam Deck. Yeah,
it's perfect for like a portable or a Steam Deck screen. Yeah,
it's very easy. There's no reason not to check it out. Mm-hmm. But on the other end of things, where it's like, oh, this Magnolia game is easy to recommend. This other game, this is not easy to recommend because so I don't know how this team does it, right? They had an East game come out a couple months ago, and then this game comes out this month. They put out a game every year, alternating between Series East and this back and forth. I don't know how they do it. I don't know what kind of magic they're working. They have a team of like 45. I think if you look on Wikipedia, they have a team of like 45 or 50. And they're kind of jumping back and forth between these like massive behemoth RPGs, especially the Trails in the Sky series. Like their scripts are like known for being like millions of words long. So it's like there's even a whole like article written by the guy who translated, I think, Trails in the Sky 2 or 3, and him talking about how it was like the worst like 7 years of his life trying to like do this whole thing. Anyways, so for people who don't know, the Trails in the Sky series is a 16 or 17 deep game series. And like how people are like, oh, I can just pick any game to play in this series, right? It's like with these, no. Like no. You need to play from the first game to this game to understand anything. Like not like you could. So I'll take it back a bit. The Trails Through Daybreak series was made intentionally to kind of be like a good entry point for someone to play a newer game to see what they're about. But in a grand scheme of things, the story backdrop of this game has been going on for 25 years before, right? So yeah, so you have a lot of homework to do. If you play the game, right, oh, this is awesome. You can go play all of them and you get this like amazing epic like 30-year long story being told, kind of like East as well. East is like it's a very intentional story being told separated, but this is more chronological. But yeah, so for this game, the combat is similar to how it was in the first game. It's turn-based. We also have these abilities to turn into these kind of demon guys. But what's really cool about the combat to me is you can either do action mode or turn-based mode. So you can just like play the game like an action game, and that's combat. Or you can go into the turn-based mode and you can like, it's more of a strategy game. It's not a grid, but there is a grid looking thing, and you can move your people and like trigger abilities and like all these things, which is cool. But if you just wanted to like blast through as an action game, you could. So that's there. Combat's fun. Story is really good. I think it's the weakest story they've had in a while, which is kind of sad to say because it's we're however long deep into this, but it's definitely the most mixed game I've seen in the series in a while. Structure wise, there's more side quests this time around, which is good. The last one didn't have any. It was kind of more like a streamline, kind of like let's go through the story. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of a way to like pitch, because this is more so like a review kind of, or just like an overview for the whole series. Because if you want to play an RPG that will reward you for investing into it, play it. Like it's the stories are amazing. The way they connect, the way you have main characters from the first 3 games show up in the next series, and then they show up again over time, and you get to kind of learn about the history of this place and see it change according to what the characters have done, and like learn about the economic systems and how the like politics of a world is changing in different countries over time. And you get to hear about like, oh, over here I was I was over there in the last game, but now I'm over here and you hear about the different geopolitical things happening between these warring nations and all these games where you're playing all these characters that are interacting over this, story. It's really cool. I don't know how they keep making money and why they keep making these games, but apparently they are making money because I don't know, but it's really crazy to me.
Whenever they're on Steam, they're always in the top 5 of when the new one comes out. So
right,
it's because it's such a hard thing to recommend to someone, right? Be like, hey,
a person who had never played one before would get anything out of just like playing Daybreak 2, or do you think
no? So if you're a new player and you want to check out like a newer one, played Daybreak 1, it's a pretty good entry point. Like it has a lot of things that if you're not aware of, you're not gonna like miss anything. It's a pretty straightforward story too. It's a murder mystery, so you're a detective solving a murder. That's just kind of it. So it's very like low level stuff. In game 2, it gets a little. There's a lot of these weird multiversal things happening. They're like, okay,
becomes
who
more
are these
lore
characters?
dependent.
Wow. Yeah. So, but yeah, and it's just crazy that they keep investing money to bringing official translations to these games and bringing like 20-year-old games to the PC, and like it's just their dedication to this series, and it's like English support is crazy. There's a remake of the first game coming out this year, I think, which is, like I said, I don't know how this 45-person, 50 people team keep doing it, but
so while I was listening to you, I'm like, I need to like parse out these series. So the Trails franchise started in 2004, and there's 14 of those games. Wow. Trails in itself is a spin-off of Legend of Heroes, which in itself is a spin-off of Dragon Slayer. And these have been going on since the late 80s on any so like this franchise.
And they're all connected. Like it's the same world.
It's the East is the same way. Every East game is connected, and they've been going on since the late 80s, man. It's
like dedication. Holy cow.
I love Falcom. I don't play any of their stuff, but I love them.
I don't know how they do it, dude. Like I'm saying, they have a team of like 50 or 40, and they're crunching the shit out of those guys making these games. And like, I don't know. I just need to watch a video of how they do this, because the thing is the teams, they don't stop working on something. Like they have an East game production timeline, and then that whole team moves to the Trails timeline, and it's back and forth. It's not like, okay, 20 of you guys working on Trails, 20 of you guys working on East. It's like
we need
every other year
to air for a Trails game.
It's nuts. Like I don't know how they do it, and the music's always really good. But yeah, that game was it's hard to talk about, but I wanted the review just so I could talk about that specifically, because it's like there is no other series that's like that ever, period. Like we don't have a 14 series game. It's like you have to play the first one. Like that doesn't exist.
It's definitely feels like the way you're describing it feels like the kind of game like once you start playing these, you're in. Like you're through for the full ride for all 14, and then you'll go back and play the other games that are
the Legend of Heroes.
And then Dragon Slayer, because it just becomes, and to your point, I mean, this is something that it feels like with such a small team, they're crunching, but this also is like a labor of love for them. Like this is their project. Like they are the keepers of this lore, and they want to go all in every time.
It's nuts. Those games are crazy. The writing is like, it's absurd. Like it's like consistently like Final Fantasy like 7 and 10 kind of levels of writing, like every video, every entry. And it's just like there hasn't really been a dud until this most recent one. Story wise. I don't know what they're doing over there, but anyways, now we can talk about the game I've played.
Yeah.
40 hours in 4 days.
Nice.
So Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Never played the first game. I tried it. I was like, okay, whatever. But I was like, I had this hankering. I was like, I want a single player game. What's come out recently? And I was like, I might just get back into Cyberpunk. You know, I was this close. I was this close to buying it. And then I was like, I'm gonna watch reviews for video games that come out recently and see what it is. And then Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 came across my desk, and I was like, okay. And I was like watching videos, and there are people that I like in the review area of our industry saying this is one of the best RPGs I've ever played. This is one of the best games ever created by any person in the industry. I was just like, what the heck is this? Like, there's no way. There's no way. And then I watched like another guy like talk about kind of the minutia of the game, and I was like, wait, this is crazy. So then I told myself, I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna play it. I bought it and I played it, and I'm not even being like hyperbolic, but it legitimately is one of the best RPGs I think that has ever been made, period. Like, it feels, because like in my mind, I think about these big RPGs like The Witcher 3 and Baldur's Gate 3 and Skyrim and like Oblivion, like those kinds of games that kind of like shaped gaming. And this to me feels like the culmination of like all of those. But it's like, I was talking to, I think, Jake in the Discord about it, and I told him like it feels like that game, like whenever Todd Howard goes up on stage and he talks about a game, and you're like, oh my god, that sounds so awesome, right? And then you play it, you're like, okay. This feels like the game. Like, this feels like if Todd Howard wasn't lying. Like, this is that game 100% that he's describing. Like, you can live a whole life. If you see something, you can walk to it. You can like, you have to live in this person's shoes and be transported to another world. Like, this is what that is. And it's just like the amount, the level that the game makes you go to even interact and like partake in this world is like, is crazy. Like it expects a lot out of you, which is like what I love about it. Is it's so deliberate with its gameplay choices and its story, and it's like its writing. The writing's crazy good. Like the character writing is nuts. I was just like, I had no clue that this team was cooking like this. But like, I just want to give you an example, because I was talking to my wife about this. Like, I just don't know how to like talk about this game without showing. So I showed her. I was just like, okay, so I'm a blacksmith apprentice right now. So I'm on this quest trying to get into this wedding with a royal who I'm trying to deliver a letter to from my past like area. So for general story purposes, you and your friend Hans are delivering a letter to a duchy to kind of bring the families together and be like, hey, like, let's bring peace to this area, because it's during the Holy Roman Empire of history. So basically, you're like, hey, let's do this. Anyways, you get stopped by bandits. They steal all your stuff, and you and Hans are like, all of our stuff is gone. Then you try and go to the duchy, and they're like, hey, get out of here. You're not anybody. They're like, but we're from here. Like, no, whatever. So it's basically like a rags to riches. Like, you have to start from the bottom and kind of work your way up. So the people who you need to bring this letter to are getting married, right? That's the first quest. I'm still on that first main quest. Anyways, so one of the ways to get into the wedding is to get in with a blacksmith or a miller. So I did the miller quest, and I went there and he was like, hey man, I'll pay you 1 gold per sack of flour you can bring to the cart. I was like, okay. So then I stayed at his mill for days, in-game days, carrying bags of flour to and from his storage unit to the thing. And I'm talking hours. Like, I spent hours dragging flour because I wanted to. Like,
hours of flour, baby.
It's crazy. So like, I didn't have to do that for an hour, but I did. Anyway, so back to the blacksmith. So I went to the blacksmith, and in the story, Henry, the main character, his name is Henry. He was a blacksmith in his old town before it got razed by the Germans. So Henry's like, hey, my dad was a blacksmith. His dad got killed. And I can bring my skills to you. Wink, wink. I really want to get into this wedding, so I'm going to help, whatever. So he's like, okay. So he trains you to be a blacksmith. In any other video game, it'd be like, oh, a cutscene while watching Henry make a sword. Wow, that's so cool. In this game, it's like, okay, so you need to grab this metal here, and you press X to grab the metal, and then turn it to the furnace. So you turn to the furnace, press X to put it in there, and then you use the left stick to push the sword in and out of the fire so it gets hot. But you also have to blow into the little thing to make the fire go up. So you're holding the trigger and the stick and like blowing and like doing this so the thing gets hot. You're like, okay, now you can pound the sword out. So you bring it to the anvil. You got your PlayStation controller, your pressure sensitive triggers, and you have to like move the stick, and you're moving the hammer, and you're also angling it on the sword, and then you have to be careful with how much you like pull the trigger, because if you hammer too hard, you could break it. So, but you also have to do it rhythmically, so you can do it like up and down the sword to make it an even finish, and then you have to flip it to do the other side, and then you have to put it in the fire and then go back. Wow. And it's like
actual smithing,
actual real world skills.
So that's just one of the trades you can do. You can make potions. You can craft other things. You
do need your strongest potions, though.
I got an achievement that references that, which was awesome. But I'm just like, that's just one little thing, and it brings that level of detail to everything. Every single mechanic in the game has that same amount of detail, which is just like, it's mind-blowing. Like, I knocked a dude out, I robbed him, I stole his clothes because I was naked. I just got thrown in jail. I needed clothes. I knocked a guy out, stole his clothes. I went off doing my own thing. I didn't have a horse at the time, by the way. It cost a lot of money. So I was walking everywhere. Took forever. Anyways, I walked away, doing my own thing, came back to that town. I was walking through the town. Normally, in like Skyrim, a guard would be like, hey, you, stop, right? None of that. But the moment I walked past the guy I knocked out, he said, hey, where are my clothes? I was like,
wow.
I'm sorry, dude. Like, I'm wearing them.
Remembered.
And he said, take those clothes off and give them back to me right now. I was like, no. And then he chased me through the town. And then we got into a fight at the tavern. I punched this guy in the face at the tavern. The tavern lady kicked me out. It's the starter village, right? And I'm just like, okay, so what? So then I try and go back into the tavern because I need a bed to sleep in. I don't have anywhere to sleep. That's the only way to save, by the way, is to sleep or to drink alcohol, which I'm poor. I can't buy anything. So like, what? So then I go back into the tavern, and she's just like, get out of here. You're starting a fight. Stop. So I'm like, what do I do? So then, because you have to manage your sleep, you have to manage your food, you have to wash yourself, you have to wash your clothes, you have to do all these things. And I'm just like walking down a dirt road, and I find a random abandoned camp. I sleep, and I'm like, in game days, maybe a week goes by. I go back to that tavern, and they're like, hey, don't do anything rash, buddy. You can come back here though. But that's just one little slice in this huge map of all these characters and gameplay mechanics, just like perfectly just like coming together. It's nuts. It's so good. I can't, like, the way you have to like put armor on, you have to like put like padded pads. So you have to put like a shirt and then a like what's the word, like a shirt, and then like a padded shirt, and then you can put armor on top of that.
Oh wow.
And then you can put a coif on, and then you can put a padded thing on, and then you can put armor on. Same with your legs. So it's like you have to. It's nuts. It's crazy. And
that's why I will never play this game, because there's no interest in me in being.
I'll respect the hell out of it, but yeah, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can play it.
I'm glad it exists, but
yes.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? I finished that blacksmith quest, and like there's so many other quests I've done that are just so intricate and like well layered, like all these things that I could talk about forever. But here's the thing: I'm at the point where I can go to the wedding. I got nervous. I Googled, if I do go to the wedding, will I lose all my quests? And then someone was like, no. And also, you're not even like, because the person in the thread was like, is the wedding like halfway point in the game? Am I almost done? And someone was like, no, you don't lose your quest progress. And the wedding is only 1/4 of the way through the game. And I'm like,
you're still in the tutorial.
I'm like, I'm 45 hours deep, and I'm only not even 1/4 of the way through. So yeah,
amazing.
It's phenomenal video game.
Sweet.
Yeah.
You did the Scorsese cinema.
It's just, I don't know, man. It's gorgeous. I can't even just look at any videos of it. It's crazy. That game is so pretty. But yeah, that's it.
So you're really liking this RPG. It's just incredible. Another person who's been playing an RPG is JJ, and you've been playing an RPG in medieval-ish times.
Yeah, I've been playing Avowed.
Oh.
Obsidian's new hotness. This is the opposite of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. This game just wants to be fun and stupid, and it is. It's an Obsidian Tale game.
Mm-hmm.
I just like that you like your life is just the worst in this game, man. You just kind of like you're born a freak. Basically,
it's like real life, baby.
Yeah, they do this thing where it's like, oh, you've been touched by a god, so you're a godlike, so you have these weird features on you that you can turn off if you don't want to look at yourself looking like a freak, but everyone still responds to you. Like you'll go up and they'll be like, oh, your god. Oh, I see. Okay. Because you have like, and you can choose like what the manifestation is on your face and on your head, and it's all plant-based. This game is very The Last of Us, and like there is a fungus kind of thing that is sort of taking over the wilds, and it's corrupting people and animals and the land, and it like vaguely zombie-esque kind of situation going on. And it's like you get in a boat accident out the gate, you kind of pull yourself together and do some quests, and then the minute you get in the town, you're immediately assassinated, and then you're brought back to life by a mysterious thing that's like the MacGuffin of the game. And it's just fun to explore. It's got great side quests. You just kind of do your stuff. You get like 2 loadouts, and it's really straightforward. You don't really have to worry too much about your like where you're putting your stats, because after a certain point you can just sort of like respec, and it doesn't really affect you too much or whatever. But like it's for me, I just have like I have my shield and one-handed weapon in one slot, and I have my spell book and a gun in the other spot. And with a push of Y, you just flip back and forth between these options and stuff, and it's very fun to just like cast a lightning spell and then like unload your pistol into a bear or whatever. It's just
you know what's interesting about this, and really what we go back to the Microsoft conversation. This game didn't present very well in their direct things, right? the Indiana Jones game didn't present very well in their direct things. And it seems like the stuff that they've been showing,
there's you getting killed immediately.
Yeah,
in the game.
Yeah, it doesn't present well. But then you play it, both these games and all the others, and they're really great for like different things. Like stuff that they're showing is not the experience. Stuff you're experiencing, you can't really explain. And what you're explaining right now, it doesn't. It's like hard to showcase.
Yeah, this suffers a lot from the thing that they did with Deathloop on the PlayStation side, where this game is a lot sillier than it sort of like any sort of presentation ever made it look. There's a lot of goofiness going on with it. There's a lot of exploration where it just really wants you to jump around. It takes to heart there's probably something behind that waterfall. You should go look. You can get there. Go up there, jump around, get there. You'll find it. There's a lot of cool hidden things. There's a lot of side quests. You saw in the Discord where I found where I of map to find the powerful cod piece side quest. All of your like buddies that you're adventuring with have good personalities and they're sassy and stuff, and it's just fun. It's not trying to be super deep, like you know, when you're out in the field. It's not like a traditional RPG where it's like you got to go to the inn or whatever. It's just like, there's these giant glowing crystals. You go up to it, you set up camp, you do your stuff, you do your weapon modifying and upgrades and talk to the people, and then exit the camp, and you're just on your way again. So yeah. You were saying, hey.
I was gonna say, I was reading, I think, Gene Park's review of the game. He was saying that like the exposition dumps the characters do is like a lot. They'll just like start talking about the lore, like like it's silly, doing that Marvel thing where they're like, so like, and those exposition dump.
I'm going to be 100% honest here. Half the dialogue I have just get me through it. Don't care. There's you know when an important one is happening, but like when you're in the camp and all of a sudden you find yourself in a dialogue situation, you're like, nope, don't care, let's go, and you're pushing a lot and missing a lot of stuff, but it has it's Obsidian, so it definitely has you put your stats into certain things, and it's like, oh, you have this level of might, which gives you different dialogue options in certain sections and stuff, and it's doing all that. It's a very Obsidian ass game, which for a lot of people is a good thing. Like you want it. It's like it's definitely its soul is definitely with New Vegas kind of stuff going on.
This game's on my list to play once it comes out on the PlayStation 5. I'm just waiting for it to come out.
It's like I have Game Pass and it was like $22 to upgrade to premium to let me play it 5 days early or whatever.
You did it again.
You did
whatever. I don't give a shit. He's
like, whatever. Dolly bought Sonic Frontiers for Switch.
Yeah, it's like it was a long weekend and I got to put in a bunch of hours into Avowed. So it's not even technically out yet.
So in your game, you just kind of have these like stats so you can like, people will be like, oh, this guy's nice, right?
Yeah.
Well, in my game, they judge me because I smell because I didn't wash my clothes, and they're like, "It smells like shit in here." I'm like, "Oh, sorry."
Game or real life? I'm not sure.
It is funny in Avowed that people react to how weird you look. Like everywhere you go, there's somebody just like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, you're the godlike. Okay, sorry.
No, in mine, people just be like, "You smell like shit. Get out of here." I'm like, "Okay, sorry." Like, bye.
Oh, and the one thing people complained about, they did end up adding in the end, where you can toggle first and third person. So
yeah, I saw that. The third person looks really good.
It's really awesome. Good. I kind of prefer the first person mode. I like the aesthetic of just first person book and gun. I don't know. It's just really fun to look at.
The animations are really awesome. Like I was watching a clip, I was like, oh my gosh, I need this game now.
Yeah.
Just stuff in the
and I was like checking my PC specs. I'm like, can I play it on my PC? I can, but for some reason I just like playing games on my console. So I'm just kind of waiting.
Well, it's because you're not going to have to do anything. You're not going to have to flutter around with.
That's not it. That's not it. I'm a new gamer now where I buy a game and I play it until I beat it. If I was playing primarily on my PC, I would just buy any game and just like I wouldn't play them.
That's so now you know what it's like, man.
So now I'm just like, okay, I'm getting this game. I'm going to play it until I beat it. Like that's my new thing. And if I'm playing Kingdom Come Deliverance until Avowed comes out, cool. Like I don't really care.
When it comes out for PS5. So JJ, you mentioned you could flip between, or you guys mentioned you could flip between like first person and third person. Games tend to be in first person, are in virtual reality. Segues are awesome. And you have played a couple of virtual reality.
I have. I've had a couple of VR experiences. I don't know which one you have loaded up, so you're just gonna have to.
Let's talk about the House of Da Vinci VR, because I'm an art guy. So
Da Vinci.
The Vinci twins are here.
Yeah. I've seen them wrestle in person before. They beat up a local DJ. It was great. I like this kind of game. These are like The Room or Boxes or whatever. It's just like Mist for babies. And I'm here for it. And this is all that is. It is just VR. You look around a room, you find nonsense. You got a little you got a big black light that lets you see secrets essentially, and you're just trying to solve the mysteries of Da Vinci. And it's fun. It's just a simple little put the headset on and interact with some puzzles and do some ridiculous nonsense, stick things together, pull some levers, push some buttons, and go about your day. The biggest problem I have with this game is that sometimes these games have puzzles where you kind of need to take notes. It has sort of built-in like note thing, but there's a couple of instances where it's just like what I'm looking at and the note that they gave me are inverted. So normally
Da Vinci would write backwards. So it makes sense. There's a lore reason.
Yeah,
okay.
Thematically it's right, but for the old noggin, not great. So and you got a headset on, so I can't take my own notes and look at them. So there's been a couple of puzzles where I had to really just like think too hard for a normal human being. So it's like sometimes my brain just don't work the way you want it to, but it's good. It's a good little escape room game, essentially.
Is this in the same universe as Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, exactly. It's Assassin's Creed 2. You're Ezio with amnesia.
Finding all the stains that Da Vinci left over.
Exactly. It's weird because like The Room does the same thing that The Room does, where it just has these fake black lights things to find messages.
Oh man,
it feels that way. You're just like, oh god, it's
Jackson was writing in lemon juice the whole time.
Yeah.
Who was the Mona Lisa?
Boy.
Oh boy, there you go. I've been playing a couple games. I'm playing a bunch of games as I'm kind of getting through the backlog. The one I'm just gonna power it up real quick, because after last week, there's a game that I probably put hours and hours and hours, and it's like perfect like bathroom style game, and it's just it was tough to put the sucker down, and that would be Dragon Sweeper. Like just freaking just put so many freaking hours into this. It's so easy to play. Dragon Sweeper. It's on itch.
It's great on phone.
It does. It actually does. You will lose like 45 minutes to an hour in the toilet at your office. But I'm not going to talk about that. No, anymore. I've been playing a couple games. that are interesting. Again, also different things here. Let me load up my notes here. The first game is okay. So I played Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered a few months back. Hey, no, they're fine. It's and I think I mentioned before the Tomb Raider remaster games are they're of the era, purposefully of the era. You can't really go too modern with controls and other things because it'll break what the games are meant to be. What the games are meant to be, and especially in this, they're meant to continue that classic feel. Because once you start getting too crazy with controls, with visuals, then you're kind of gonna, like I said, break what the game is. So I have been playing Tomb Raider 4 through 6, the remastered versions of that, and I'm gonna hit this sucker to play. And Tomb Raider 1 through 3, like those games, they get progressively better as you go along. Like Tomb Raider 2 and 3 are some of the best, even of that era, but still hold up pretty well. 4 through 6 get kind of progressively not as good as you go along, because this was the twilight of that original Tomb Raider sort of series. You know, they started trying some funky things with 4, and then 5, and then 6 is just, they're just all over the place.
6 is a mess. I'm sorry.
Is there one called like Dark Angel or something?
Yeah, Angel of Darkness.
The PS2 ones, when they went into that era, because they had like, then they went to like Underworld and Anniversary. Anniversary was great. Anniversary was the remake of 1, kind of, but not really. But was.
So this collection, it's a bit of a novelty, right? So nobody is really going to be searching these games out, right? You're not going to be like, I've been meaning to play Angel of Darkness for a long time. But I mean, if you this collection is this collection is basically, well, I played the first 3 and I kind of want to see how this ends up, and I just want to keep going. It's one of those things where it's like, I guess I'm curious. Sure, why not? So again, just like the previous version, the new visuals look pretty great. You can kind of see it here. They're good for modern games too, like stuff you would find on some modern platforms, like from utilizing the assets. I still preferred playing in the older style visuals, the PS1 and the because the lighting can, again, I mentioned it with the first collection, same goes with this. The lighting, it's just so dark, and it's difficult to see some of the details that you really need to see to get through. It's like, look at it. This stuff is really dark. This is like you light up that screen quite a bit. So you
call it Angel of Darkness for a reason.
But again, I really like the ability to flip back and forth between the visual styles with the press of a button. It's super easy. I was playing on the Steam Deck, and that's actually really neat. So if I get to a point, I'm like, it's kind of hard to see what's going on. Just tap the button, and I'm right away in the classic visual style, and it's fluid, super fluid, runs perfectly. That works all good. So again, I just kind of would hop back and forth. I don't love the user interface. They did that with the first 3 games. They're doing it again here, where they're keeping that old school style UI, and you don't really need to. Like, sure, the visuals I understand, but that old UI just doesn't. It's not user friendly by today's standards at all. Like, you need to put some real good quality of life, visual improvements and accessibility improvements in that. But
is LRG the publisher of these, or is it?
No, it's Aspire.
Aspire.
Yeah, Aspire. So, I mean, they try to get this, like, those aspects to look like the 90s, but I get it. But like, nah, you don't have to.
Tomb Raider is a franchise that could benefit greatly from like this type of collection being a historical collection. Yes. Like that, and that's sort of the problem. Is like 4, 5, and 6 aren't really worth their price.
So I'll get to that, because that's really kind of what I'm thinking too. Let me get to some of these last few points. So like, they got the classic tank controls. That's what the game starts with. You can flip to modern controls, which are, tank controls are okay back then because you had dual pads and the other stuff. The modern controls, what's actually kind of interesting about the modern controls is at first still they feel off because I'm so used to like modern platforming
well, these games were never meant to be played with a controller. Like the original Tomb Raiders were keyboard games. I mean, like they were PC games. So
right. But so the modern controls that I'm getting to is like they've actually done an admirable job of keeping what made these games feel, what made them function like back then and control back then. The modern spin doesn't change the actual controls. It's just a slightly better way of accessing all the things that you need to do. And I actually kind of appreciate that aspect of it. Still not perfect. There's still aspects where I'll be jumping around and I need to get that momentum going before I can jump. And I don't like that in Tomb Raider games because you can't just jump straight up and stuff. You have to like actually be moving, but or running across. But the control wise it works. So I guess there's no real need to grab this collection unless you kind of want to have this whole complete Tomb Raider thing. The first three, sure, they're fun. They hold up. These games, I guess, hold up, but they're just not great games. Like 4 is fine, 5 and 6 not fine.
1, 2, and 3 are historically significant.
Yes. So these are just kind of there. They were getting away from what Tomb Raider was because they had all kinds of other games were coming out at the time. Technology was zooming past it, new platforms.
Well, we were also in a time where if your franchise went beyond a trilogy, it was considered old and point so, like, just can't make anything new, huh?
Yep. And so these were really getting to the end of that original Tomb Raider era. Again, I mean, these are probably gonna come out in a collection with all 6. Like you're gonna get all 6 of these Tomb Raiders all at once. And the thing that's missing with these, and you mentioned it, JJ, and that's kind of the main point, is even the first set of 3 games is there's no, outside of a few like, hey, here's some images, because I was flipping through some of the images and stuff that you can look at, and some of the just some light sketch stuff, and it's like, okay, that's cool, but it's not really a historical thing. Like I want this, like, do videos, like people talking to the developers, or here's some cool audio stuff that wasn't in the final game that let's talk about. Like there could be something really kind of interesting. And I really feel like, Digital Eclipse has reset the market for what these collections need to be. Like I no longer just want these games. If I want to get these games, I'll buy them cheap on GOG or whatever. Visuals, cool, whatever, some remaster audio, cool, whatever, but I want more. And this doesn't have, and again, it's sort of an oddity. It doesn't have enough to really keep me going back. I'm not going to hurt myself trying to get everything, in these games. I don't think anybody will. I don't think anybody wants to go back. Go the first Tomb Raider games, go ahead, get, unlock everything, that first collection, because they're decent, decent games even by today's standards. These 3, not nearly as enticing, and there's just nothing to really bring you back. So I don't want to say I'm disappointed, because they put that shine on these games. They did a great job of bringing these up to speed like the previous ones, but there's just nothing to buy nothing within this collection that really screams like, hey, it's a cool collection.
They weren't super popular now. They were then. They won't be super popular now.
Give me some more stuff to make me want to come back.
And you make a good point where it's like, there are some collections that are nice that they exist. Like maybe they shouldn't exist, but they're hard to get. You can't, like, you have to kind of go bend over backwards in some ways, you got to listen, you got to emulate them or whatever. But you can get these on GOG. You can get these for dirt cheap on all kinds of different things. It's like
the Karateka collection. I look at that and I'm like, the game doesn't do anything for me. I could care less about the game, but it's a cool ass collection because they got the few games in there, but they did an interview, and it's all about the life. It's about this, and there's some really cool things. And I really wish that,
consider what Tomb Raider is.
Like, at least there were comics, there were movies, you should make a full-on Tomb Raider compendium and really say, this is what Tomb Raider was. These first 6, This is what Tomb Raider was. This is what it led to. This was its cultural significance. It doesn't do that. Again,
a whole documentary.
If you want. Yeah,
a whole documentary video called "Nude Code" with an
there you go.
Question mark.
Something simple in there. But like, again, I'm not saying these are bad ports. These are terrific ports of some questionable games. You'll probably only want to play this. Play these games if you just feel like, hey, I want to play more Tomb Raider, but they're not great games. They're really just, hey, we need to check the box and get these other games out. I just wish there were more from the collector side to make me want to pick this up, which there isn't. So now
I have a confession to make. I've never played a Tomb Raider game. The closest I've gotten is Power Wash Simulator, where you clean her stuff.
So. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's the trick too, because it's like Tomb Raider 1 is one of the most culturally significant video games. It's definitely a top runner for like what the original Tomb Raider did, but it's kind of like hard to play unless you kind of have a sort of appreciation for it. I think the most recent Tomb Raiders are still very good games, especially the one that was just Tomb Raider. It's just Uncharted, but with Lara Croft as a young lady.
She's an assassin, but also Tomb Raider.
That Tomb Raider game, I made the Game Informer people mad at me for a minute because I got the magazine and I took some pictures of the magazine and posted them on Twitter, and I saw some subtweets from some people from Game Informer because they went like viral at a time where there wasn't really virility on Twitter. But just remember that. I was like, oh, whoops.
So I want to let me move on real quick. The second game that I had the chance to review. So there's a comment that I want to post, and this is by Exagermoose. And he says, Dolly won't be talking about it, but we will be playing it while talking about these other boring games. And it's funny that he brings it up because see you, Zach. I think his network was crap.
Yeah.
So this game that I've been playing, it's interesting. So much of our lives right now are filled with multitasking, and so we're watching TV, we're playing a game, we're working on something, or watching a stream in the background. I know, like, you guys do that a lot. It's very normal. We're podcasting and we're playing games in the background, like Exaggerating. We don't really get the chance to focus anymore, and that's kind of been lost in our part of our lives. Just the way sort of technology and society and everything and culture has sort of been, sucked into us, especially these last 5 years since 2020, where we've had to multitask because all we could do was sit inside. So being in the present is kind of difficult now. Being bored is not even possible anymore. Like, there's no way you can be bored because there's so much stuff you can do. So the game that I've been playing, it lives in that. It lives in that idea, and it's called While Waiting. And While Waiting is an interesting game because what do we do while we wait? We multitask. We can't be bored. We have to do something. We have to fidget. We have to play. We have to look somewhere else. We have to do 5 things at once. While Waiting is a game about being in the present in a way. It's really about waiting for something to happen. And the whole game, in fact, could be finished by not touching anything. Like, you can start the game and just wait. You just wait. And by, an hour and a half, 2 hours later, the game's done. Like, you have completed this game. You've gone through it. Just let it play out, So it's set up as sort of a life story, someone's life story. In fact, like, the very first thing is you have to leap from the heavens. Your soul has to leap from the heavens and land in a body, or land in Earth. But it's about the little experiences that this person, or us, whoever, that they have, that make up like those sort of in-between moments, those moments that we're waiting for something to happen. So like I said, it kicks off with like your soul waiting in line in heaven to jump to Earth. But we can just wait because you'll automatically start moving forward little by little, or you can you can jump up and down, or you can pull out. There's like a little fidget spinner thing that you can pull out and play with. There's you can jump. You're on this bridge. You can jump off the bridge and just land in the water, or you can cut in line and try to get in front of people because you don't want to wait. Right? We're so used to doing stuff. We're sort of conditioned right away to not wait. We got to rush. We got to do something. So the full experience is basically, like I said, sort of a storytelling of someone's life, about those little moments in there. And it's basically all these little mini games, and they get progressively sillier and sillier. Like it's sort of like WarioWare in a way, in that there's these little things you have to do in each of these mini games, and there's like well over 100 of these things. And you can either wait, like this top left corner there, it says wait for this to happen, or you can go ahead and start doing stuff, and you can get stickers. You get on the top right of the screen, you can see in these videos, has a list of the stickers that you haven't received yet. And so the stickers are basically, well, while you're waiting for this to happen, you can do stuff. You can push a button, or you can do whatever. And there's a ton of them. The stickers are also kind of like almost an achievement system or the star system in games to get you enticed to kind of look around each little scene, right? So it's controlled with just the left stick to move something around, and then one action button. And that's it. That's all you do. There's also like a fidget button to give you there's all these different fidget toys, like fidget spinners, and you could click a pen, you could push a light switch or a button, but it's really just those two things. And all those situations are silly. Like there's one where you're waiting for a bus to arrive, and you can wait in the little bus stall thing. You can start petting the dog, or you can steal a bag of money of coins that kind of falls off the side because you see a coin thing there. And you could be, the sticker achievement is the richest person on the bus. You can actually grab there's somebody giving pamphlets off to the side. You can grab the pamphlets and start sticking them up on this bulletin board behind you. Like another one is we're in a class and we can we're waiting for our teacher to grade our test, and we can just sit there and wait, or we can walk around the classroom in sort of this little stealth game and try to take a look at everybody else's grades and make sure the teacher doesn't catch us, almost like a little stealth, Metal Gear Solid stealth like mini game. And then there's one where we're actually holding a phone in front and we're playing a mobile game, and you're waiting for the minute and a half for the heart to refill for the action points. Like that's it. Wait that 1 minute and 30 seconds. Can you do it? Well, you can, or you can click on the heart button and watch an ad. And it's one of those dumb mobile game ads where you have to click here and drag this down and move this across. And then by watching that ad, you'll get your heart replenished. It's one of those silly things, and it's just full of these situations. I think one of my favorite ones is early on. Again, they get sillier and sillier as they go along. And it's kind of that weird British humor style of silly that we really like. But there's one where your mom's making food, and she's making like vegetables and shrimp or something. And she's at the stove, and she's flipping them behind her. And as she's flipping them behind her, you can either just wait because she's flipping them and they're landing in the bowls and the plates on the table, or you can help her. You can grab the bowl and kind of catch these as they're coming around, or you can walk around and there's this giant like tube looking thing. You can go in one end of the tube and it's actually a Gulliver tunnel. And as you come out the other end, you're this tiny little person, and you can go into this hole in the wall, this little mouse hole, and meet a mouse. And that's it. It's like just really weird little things. Like in the video that we're showing, like there's like Frogger style things. There's stuff you could do outside, there's Adam and Eve level type things. It's really all these dumb little moments in life where we can wait, but we just don't want to. And it's worth it to experience all these. Like one of my favorite ones is waiting to fall asleep, because like as a kid, when you're waiting to fall asleep, you're seeing things in your room, and like your room's, maybe it's haunted. Where'd you put your teddy bear? Why don't I just keep clicking the light switch on and off? I'll turn the light switch. I'll turn the light on. Oh, mom comes in and turns the lights off. I'll turn the light on again. Mom comes in again and turns. It's just kind of this fun little experience thing. And anyway, it's just so weird. It's so goofy, but there's like this real heartfelt, like just meaning behind the concept. Like it's really a mirror to like our real lives, you know, how we approach these little moments. And it's like, it's just perfect. It's cute. It's fun for the whole family. Very easy to play. I mean, again, you cannot fail this game because you can drown in a pool and yet really you're still just waiting for something to happen. You know, all it is you will make it to the end of this. It's all these series of little mini games, and it's just an enjoyable treat. It's worth it to play it just to experience these things, because I've constantly found myself going through this thinking, I've done that with the phone. I've waited. I had to wait for the stupid commercial to go through on TV. What do I do while there's a commercial? I'll flip through other channels, or I'll play, I'll play a game while I'm waiting for it. It's really fun examination of how we treat boredom and waiting. And it's great. It's awesome. I love it. It's just a silly little game. It's worth it. It's worth checking out. I can highly recommend it. Yeah. Cool. Yay. Well, wait for it. Don't wait for it. Go get it. Just silly. It's that style of humor, like what was that Glad You're Here game type of thing? Thank goodness you're here. Thank goodness you're here. It's that type of thing, where what you don't expect is what you absolutely expect, because the game expects it of you. The game expects you to not be able to just wait. So yeah, while waiting, I'm playing it on Switch. I played it on Switch. It's great. I gave it to my daughter. She's loving just the silly things, because even the things that she's accustomed to, waiting for the bus, waiting for a mobile thing to refill, all those tune in. And then later on stuff gets kind of crazy. You have people barfing rainbows. So while waiting, it's good stuff. And I don't want anybody else waiting. We've been yapping for an hour and a half.
Yeah, I've been waiting to go pee.
Yeah, you've been waiting to go pee. You could have. There's probably a bottle around there somewhere of that stuff you've been drinking. But JJ, thank you so much for joining me. I think later this week there's an Xbox event type of thing. Let me start on time. 10 minutes sooner. It's all over them. Later this week there's an Xbox indie thing. There's still the rumor there might be a Nintendo thing this week or next week. We don't know. Who knows anymore? But we'll see. We still got a lot of review things happening. I know we have a couple fun next week. We're gonna have a fun week for a pretty big game, but can't talk about it. I'll talk to you about it afterwards, JJ. And then thanks to everybody that joined us. Feel free to hop into the Discord. Go to sidequesting.com. Hop into the Discord through there and join us. We're gonna start posting recipes, which is kind of fun because JJ inspired me. JJ likes to secretly be a pretty cool dessert chef because every once in a while he'll just post, made these for all my coworkers, and it's just this beautiful tray of cookies. And it's like, okay, yeah, you're baker. So
chemistry and baking are very, very similar to one another. So
and making heroin. So all three of those things are perfect.
No. It's making crystal meth. That's
crystal meth. It's sorry, exactly. Breaking JJ. But so we're gonna start posting those in the Patreon. I'm gonna throw a quick one up today in the Patreon tonight, and then later on they'll show up on the main site. But you may want to hop into the become a patron, because the Patreon folks will get those first. So again, thank you to Zach. Thank you to JJ. Find us at sidequesting.com. JJ, you're at
the internet. By the way, that's what happened.
I figured that. Yeah, his internet. Yeah, we totally understood. And that's it. SideQuesting TV on YouTube and Twitch. We'll see you on the next episode of